River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan, here along with James up that way. Still can't point right. And newly appointed third co-host, Eric. No longer superfan Eric. You are now superhost Eric. And all three of us are here together to talk about the victory. It's finally, well, we're taping on a Tuesday, but we're counting it as Victory Monday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which James and I were at in cheering and celebrating. We won 34-3, and to get the nerdy number stuff out of the way, Brock Purdy finally looked like Brock Purdy again. He had 148.9, basically 149 passer rating, 3 touchdowns, just shy of 300 yards. And then everybody found the end zone. Debo found a rushing touchdown and looked fantastic. Brandon Ayuk had another touchdown. George Kittle dominated on his just 3 catches for 116 yards at a touchdown. The only one to not find a touchdown was Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, he admitted that he sucks. That's why he didn't get, the touchdown.
Nope, you got 140 total yards, but hey, no touchdown. So hey, your record's broken. We can sell you for pennies now. On the other side of that, much like Purdy looking back to normal, our defense finally looked back up to par to how we looked in the 5-game winning streak. We held Trevor Lawrence to a 49 passer rating. He had 2 interceptions. He also had a lost fumble. There was another fumble by Christian Kirk. But Trevor, yeah, he was held under 200 passing yards. And nobody found the end zone. No rushing touchdowns. We held Travis Etienne. I'm looking here. We held him to 44 total yards, their biggest weapon. Christian Kirk did get over 100 receiving yards. But again, he lost a fumble, didn't find the end zone. Our defense suffocated Jacksonville, and it was so beautiful to see how empty that stadium was by the George Kittle touchdown in the third quarter. It was already so empty.
And how pissed they were at me going, Duval, Duval.
Oh yeah, Eric, we were all handed these black rally towels. I should have grabbed mine, but I didn't. But it's a black rally towel with the Jags face on it. Not a single towel was waving. And at the end of the game, on our side, I guess it was the away side, just from the way it looked, it was a pretty notable amount of red. Like, we've talked about how we travel very well.
Yeah.
I was in shock at how red, like, it was far more red than that was at the Green Bay game for the playoffs. Like, it was so red. I'm at a loss of words at describing it better than that, but it was very, very loud, and it was so much support, and it was not to belabor it to talk about the game, but Jacksonville was so cool. It was so cool to go to. It was dreary and overcast weather-wise, and it was a little wet, but no, that stadium's really, really beautiful. The giant LED screens on both end zones. The pool was not nearly as big as I thought it was. It was 2 little pools. I thought it was like a big end zone pool, but yeah, no, the fans that were there were amazing. It was
shout out to Marco, our new German friend.
Yeah. Oh my God. Shout out to the Duval chapter of Niner Empire. That was an awesome tailgate. That was an awesome walk-in that we had. It just the whole experience was everything that I hoped it would have been. And yeah, just the fact that we had a big blowout victory on top of it. I'm now 3-1 in games I've gone to in person. This game, Tampa in 2013, the Packers Packers playoff game, and then I was in Indianapolis when we lost, and it was Brian Hoyer versus Jacoby Brissett. It was a overtime and Vinatieri kicked a field goal.
Oh my gosh, what a QB matchup that is, man.
Yeah.
It was George Kittle's first career touchdown, and I still have that on my phone. So I'm very proud that I saw that.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And it was Peyton Manning's number retirement. So I mean, I guess the Colts kind of had to win that game. So I wasn't that bad. But anyway, I'll shut up. I'll open the floor to you guys. James, obviously you're at the game with me, and then Eric, you answered a lot of questions that we had because we didn't have the broadcasters telling us what the hell happened on that fumble and all that stuff. But yeah, I'll open the floor to either of you guys. James, since you were at the game with me, I guess.
Well, I had an awesome time. It was just so much fun doing the interview with Lakeisha Martin, the president of the chapter, Duval chapter of Niner Dynasty Empire. Really great tailgate. It was fun interacting with some of the fans, especially Marco. Marco flew all the way from Germany for a weekend just to see the 49ers. He was literally going to get on a plane the next day on Monday and go back to Germany. Like, that's dedication. He seemed to like the Yingling. He said it was a good beer, better than the Bud Light that he was drinking. Shout out the Yingling. Sorry, Bud Light.
Yeah, he was cool, and again, everybody at that tailgate was cool. A lot of people loved the signs that we had, and I'll just say this up top too. I am working on something. Something's going to come out if I get a concrete date. We'll put it on Twitter and everywhere. But I am working on something with all the photos and the videos that we took while we were there. It's just I had a lot of day job to catch up on, so that's why this background still hasn't been adapted for 3 people either. I have a very long to-do list after we tape these episodes. But no, Eric, you being the one that watched it on the broadcast, it was John and Jim. I'm spacing their last names, the commentators for Fox. I've seen the highlights since, and they were awesome commentators instead of butt fumble. But no, what was it like for you watching the game? And you didn't get the broadcast cut off, right?
No, everything, it went all the way through. So, no, I mean, it was great. It was good to see the team go back to what they were doing through the first 5 weeks of the season. So, they went back to the short game. I mean, you guys saw it. We did some of the short passes and the screen passes that were kind of our bread and butter early on in the season, which is good and moves the ball and kind of works as an extension of that running game. We still did throw some deep passes because Purdy's much better at that than Jimmy ever was. So it's great that we can mix those in. We ran the ball effectively with McCaffrey, which we hadn't been doing for the past 3 weeks. So that was good to see. And then from a defensive side of the ball, we shut down the running game. The last 3 weeks, we'd been allowing teams to run the ball on us and get yards and get chunk plays, and we shut down the run, and we finally got pressure on the quarterback. I mean, you guys saw Lawrence was under duress the entire game. So really all the things that we talked about the week before that were the things that the Niners needed to do to get back into the win column, they ended up achieving. So as a fan, I really couldn't ask for anything more in this game, really. I mean, they checked off all the boxes for me, really did everything that I wanted to see from them in terms of on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. I mean, the only complaint that I might have is that we still can't seem to cover a slot receiver. We let them run wild. Christian Kirk had a big day against us. That's a common refrain on the defensive side of the ball. We haven't been able to solve that problem. And then we got screen passed to death for a while on one series.
Yeah, but I just think they emptied the playbook on screens, and that was all the screens that they had in their playbook, and we're like,
but when you think about it, though, remember one of the only passes that even crossed the goal line for Jacksonville was a very clean breakup by Charvarius Ward. I think it was on Christian Kirk, and that was a beautiful play. I do agree, though, that overall, it's still, that's still one of our weaknesses, the screens and the slot receiver. But obviously, we have to acknowledge the 3 biggest changes that we had. We had Chase Young out there, and the pass rush. I'm not going to say that he was the reason the pass rush woke up. And I'm also not going to say the defense played better from us benching Isaiah Oliver and then we moved Demo inside and Avery Thomas on the outside. I think the reason that we played so much better, though, whether the Niners are going to admit it or not, is having Steve Wilks on the sideline. I don't know. Try to convince me that wasn't the reason that our defense played better. D'Amico was on the sidelines, and Saleh was on the sideline. I think actually having the defensive coordinator on the sideline was a great choice. Obviously, Chase and then benching Oliver were also big parts of it. And we had a bye week too. Like the last 3 years, we played much better after the bye week. But you can't convince me that moving Wilkes from the booth actually down to the field with his guys so they could actually talk to him one-on-one in real time without the headset or the telephone. There's no way that didn't play a factor into us playing better.
I mean, I think it definitely helps. I can't see a world, Dan, I agree with you. I can't see where that doesn't make a big difference. I mean, Wilkes is a big personality. He's got a lot that he brings to the table there. And I think being able to be there right alongside the guys and share his thoughts and feelings kind of immediately with them. I mean, I think it has to make an impact. I think you're right about the other changes that we made too. I mean, obviously adding Chase Young, I mean, you can't really, overstate the impact that he obviously makes. And then the switch with the two corners there. Thomas on the outside.
We needed to bench Oliver.
Yeah. Oliver was not playing well. So Thomas on the outside, I think he does make a big difference. Lenore, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see how he does, giving up 104 yards. I mean, Christian Kirk is a good slot receiver. So, I mean, I don't want to, crap on him too hard.
$30 million a year? I mean, is he worth $30 million a year if they can't get into the end zone?
Well, yeah. So, I mean,
how did that deep pass look in the TV? James thought that he dropped it. I didn't think he dropped it. I thought I saw a clean catch. And then obviously they said he caught it. How did it look on the TV though? Did it look like he caught it?
Which one?
The one that he caught like right in front of the goal line.
The one that went to review that it looked at a glance like if you first saw it, like it bounced off the ground into his chest.
Oh no, he caught it. He caught it. It was clean as day.
Yeah, Eric said he caught it when I texted him. He was like, "No, that was a catch."
Okay.
Yeah, it was catch, clean as day.
Okay. Yeah. See, I thought it was from our vantage point. James thought it should have been reviewed, and then we saw the little red flag fly out because we were behind the Niners sideline, and we saw it fly out at the 10.
Yeah. Well,
no,
it was a clean catch. He had his arms underneath of it the whole time.
I mean, but anytime you see your guys going like this and the offense rushing, to get the next play off, I mean, try throwing the flag. Just, you never know what could happen. You don't know unless you try. And from where I looked, like it did look like it bounced off the ground, but then when I saw the replay, like it definitely looked like a catch. But in any case, like, I
see the karma you're trying to put out there because you guys got away with a catch that Devontae Smith clearly dropped.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if the offense starts rushing, to like, because they don't know, and throw the flag. I mean, there's a reason why they may be rushing to the line because even they don't know if it's a catch or not.
Right. But no, it was back to what Eric you were saying about the defense. That was really something, finally seeing some life in that pass rush. There was a lot of shared sacks I noticed, like Chase and Nick at the same time, and then Hargrave and Armstead at the same time. And I think Gregory and I don't know, it seemed like every sack was shared. It didn't seem like it was ever one guy. And that was what was beautiful, was that it was so much complete pocket collapse. And we hadn't had that for 3 weeks. And like, that's what I was telling Joan, like while we were driving back, was, oh my God, we snapped the losing streak, but we finally look like how we did for a month, and we almost went a month without looking like that. And it just, it was just such a nice reminder that we weren't just completely going down the toilet, and the defense actually looks right again. And then the offense looked like it was finally firing all cylinders again too. Purdy looked confident, even with his own pocket collapsing. Because I don't know if you guys knew, going into this game, Jacksonville was the 3rd overall defense.
Oh wow.
And yeah, they surrendered 30 points and we held them to 3.
Yeah. And turnover Trevor showed up. I mean, he showed up in a big way. I believe he had 3 turnovers plus like another turnover worthy play, according to PFF. So he had 4 turnover worthy plays as well. So I
feel like I completely sidestepped was there any other things on defense, Eric, that like really stood out to you, or pivot to offense? Anything like super specific on offense?
Well, I mean, we tackled good again too. I mean, I think that was the other key. I think there were 7 missed tackles, I think I read in the game. So, I mean, that was a big step down from where we had been.
Screens.
Yeah, probably. So I mean, we were up in the teens in the last few games where we had been losing, and so dropped that back down to I think like 7 this week. So I mean, that was a big improvement there where we were starting to make our tackles again. So just a really outstanding effort. I think that the 5 sacks was huge. I mean, even if we weren't getting home and getting the sacks, the pressures that we were getting was really big. I saw them doing a lot of creative things up front. They didn't line up. I mean, they lined up Bosa and Young in different places. They didn't just put them on the edges all the time. They were moving people around. We just got creative with our front 4. So I liked a lot of the different things that we did scheme-wise. It was really great to see us doing some different things creatively to try to generate some of those pressures. And I hope that we carry that stuff forward. I mean, we're going to have to be able to do those things, and we're going to have to be able to continue to get that pressure. That pressure up front sets everything else up, for us in the defensive scheme of things, and that's the key to our success. So we need to continue to push it forward. So,
James, being the Eagles fan that we're going to be facing in 3 weeks, I know it's a little more skewed seeing it in person versus the TV. Or, well, I guess no, I guess it's you got to see it in person versus just seeing it through the TV. Did it feel like as big a statement as it felt for me and Eric that like, oh yeah, no, we're actually not anywhere. That 3-game losing streak, like, did it feel like we presented ourselves as the Super Bowl contenders that we were for 5 weeks before the 3-game losing streak? Like, did that send a shiver back down your spine? Just like, oh, okay, nope, that was a fluke. Like the Niners are back.
It doesn't send a shiver because I'm not scared of the 49ers, but I'm just like, does it say that the 49ers are contenders again? Yeah, I think it does. Jacksonville was on a 4 or 5 game winning streak coming into that game. They're at home.
Yeah, 6-2.
Their fans are, pumped and ready to play this game, and basically San Francisco embarrassed them in front of their home team to the point where a guy told me to suck it because I was just screaming Duval. So they played.
That's true.
They dominated. They dominated so much that Jags fans just hated me, and when that last touchdown was scored, seeing an empty stadium when going into the game, there was a lot of hype, especially from Jacksonville fans, talking about, they won 5 in a row. They're 6-2 atop of the AFC South, and a lot of people have called them frauds, and wanted to see if they could be real and play a good opponent and beat a real opponent, because, the 2 wins that they had were both in London against the Bills and I forget who else, but
Bills wins is a lot less impressive now.
Yeah,
like
Bills wins aren't looking so great. So yeah, I think for Jacksonville coming in trying to prove themselves as being a contender in the AFC and being in that next tier with like the Bengals and the Chiefs, I think they had a lot to prove, and they didn't show up because the 49ers were just the better team.
My favorite phrase that Eric, you've put into my zeitgeist, they threw up all over themselves.
Yeah, I mean, James, you kind of brought it back up, and we had talked about it last week. Is it's really been Chiefs, Ravens, and some would say, I believe, the Bengals, leading the AFC in terms of teams that have the chance to make the Super Bowl, and the Jags were sitting at 6-2, and really outside of the conversation, but record-wise, they should be right there. And we had talked about this was a statement game for them. It was their opportunity to really rise up, to play a team like the Niners, who are Super Bowl contenders, and really, get that win for them and solidify themselves as like, oh my gosh, wow, the Jags are that team in the AFC, we got to take notice. And they didn't do it. They fell flat on their face, got embarrassed on the big stage, and, now they're back down in that second tier, kind of with the other also rans in the AFC. So we're back to just Chiefs, Ravens, and I guess Bengals. I don't know. Texans beat the Bengals. I'm not sure what to make of that really totally either.
I mean, the Texans, honestly, I think the Texans are for real. I think CJ Stroud is, a hell of a quarterback. Now, do you put them in that tier? No, I wouldn't say you do that just yet.
Yeah.
But now
we got to put Pittsburgh in there too. Like, call me one of those like bored again. I'm almost at that point of bored again, where Pittsburgh legitimately, like, if they came up again with how nasty that defense is, and somehow they just win ugly after ugly after ugly after ugly game, like they have 6 wins too. Like
they
grind it out.
They have 6 wins with the worst yardage differential in the whole freaking league. Like they are outgained. Like they have been outgained by like 600 yards or something like that. It's something crazy how bad they've been outgained by the offense. Yet here they are, 6-3.
Same story with Cleveland. Their offense is a mess, but their defense is amazing, and so the whole AFC North is just a giant crap show right now.
Yeah.
The Steelers have a negative point differential of 26 too.
Yeah, like they have one of the worst offenses,
like last year's Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, the AFC North is going to beat each other up over the next few weeks. This week they've got Bengals, Ravens versus each other, and Steelers, Browns versus each other. So that's going to decide a lot of what happens this particular weekend is when all these teams play each other.
Oh, very pivotal. Yeah.
But I would say that the Texans, I'm not going to put them necessarily up in the tier with the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, but they have solidified themselves as the top of the second tier in the AFC. I think, I think with that defense and how, like how they played in certain games, and just CJ Stroud showing all the haters that, hey, OSU does have quarterbacks, so finally, right? And to get that kind of play out of a rookie quarterback in the biggest stage, against Cincinnati, that's a hell of a win, and the week before, 49 seconds, no timeouts left to go in the game, CJ Stroud gets them all the way down the field for a touchdown. So that's impressive. And those are good wins. Those are good quality wins from a young team that seems to be up and coming. What we thought was the Jaguars is now really looks like the Texans.
Yeah. And then to feed on that just a little bit more, the Texans have Cardinals, Jaguars. Okay. Maybe the tough game for them. Maybe
they already beat
Broncos, right? Broncos, Jets, Titans, Browns. Tough game possible. Titans, Colts. That's a very, very winnable schedule down the stretch for them. And for DeMeco Ryans to possibly get to the playoffs with a Texans team that everybody left for dead this season, he could be in the playoffs and possibly win his division.
I mean, honestly, if he does either get into the playoffs, he's in line to win the division because they play Jacksonville again, and Jacksonville has a hard time against the Texans. Like they really have a tough time.
There's some stupid stat where the Texans have beat them the last like 13 times in a row or something dumb like that.
Yeah, it's something crazy. Like, I think it's like the Jags are like 1-5 in their last 6 games against them. So
yeah, it's something stupid.
Yeah, dude, if the Texans do. Well, it could be either way. If they make the playoffs as a wild card, or the more likely scenario, they win the AFC South, it's not Stefanski's award anymore. DeMeco Ryans is coach of the year. I just flat out. If he wins the division with a rookie quarterback after going 2-15, automatic coach of the year in my book.
Yeah, I mean that would be, but I'd be willing to give it to Kevin O'Connell too.
Or O'Connell. That's what I was trying. That's what.
Yeah, I'd be willing to give it to Kevin O'Connell, depending on how many more games he can win with Josh Dobbs.
He's in contention for sure.
You love yourself some Josh Dobbs, man.
I do love Josh Dobbs, man. I didn't know it until this season, but yeah, I like the Josh Dobbs story. I mean,
that's because you didn't know Josh Dobbs existed until this season.
Exactly. Did anybody know that Josh Dobbs?
Just his mom,
and his friends at NASA.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want to rein this in real quick before we get closer to time. The way that you were describing how CJ Stroud was playing, I did want to throw out there that last year we were using sentiment like that for Mr. Brock Purdy, and it's not an official. I made this on my own with official numbers. It's only regular season numbers. I just want to let the listeners know that in the regular season games, that weren't him playing one drive in the Cardinals. I'm going from the Dolphins game up to now, only regular season games. He's now played 15. So if you're old school, one more game, or new school, 2 more games. He's currently at just a hair over 3,600 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 picks. And I don't have the completion percentage or QBR, but he's 12-3 now. And then he finally looked like this quarterback again. I just wanted to shoehorn in one last shout out because Jacksonville's pass rush was really good. And I'll admit our offensive line, not quite up to par as we were last year. I think that it was great to see Trent Williams play again. I didn't see anything egregious from him. Colton McKivitz, got beat up a little bit, but when he's going up against somebody in the top 15 versus the bottom 15, he kind of gets beat up.
I didn't see the clip, but apparently there was a Jaguars player that saw Trent Williams coming at him, and he turned around and ran away from Trent Williams, according to some reports. I'm not sure who.
I would run away from Trent Williams.
Dude, like a 180 or 190 pound cornerback going against 300 pound 6'5". No, I wouldn't take that either. I'm good.
Yeah. Look,
maybe try to tabletop him. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't take him on head on. No, screw that.
Yeah. Dan, I agree with what you're saying there. I think Purdy is great. I think at some point in time, national news media is going to have to jump off this whole, he's Mr. Irrelevant. He's the last pick in the draft. He's a product of Kyle Shanahan's system, blah, 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 blah. All the things that they drum up about him, and just have to admit that he's a legit, real good starting quarterback in the NFL. I did a fun exercise for myself the other day because I like to just sit around and think about football things. It's one of the things that's nerdy about me or whatever. But I went through the NFL rosters, and I tried to think of like, what quarterbacks would I take over Purdy, right? Like, if I could go pick anybody off of anybody else's NFL roster, who would I take over Purdy? There was only like 7 or maybe even 8 quarterbacks that I would even consider taking over Purdy. So he's a top 7 or 8 quarterback in the NFL this season.
I take him over Dak. I take him over Dak.
Oh, I take him over Dak. I take him over Geno. I take him over Kyler. There's plenty of quarterbacks I take Purdy over.
Yeah, there was only like I said, 7 or 8 guys that I would take over him. And Eric, those were those.
So I want to hear it from your mouth. Was Jalen Hurts one of those quarterbacks?
I would have taken Jalen Hurts over top.
Okay, thank you.
That's only just because right now at this point in time, Hurts has gotten a little bit further along than Purdy has and stuff like that. But that was a close one for me. I wavered on that one a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. But yeah, it was like, obviously it was like Mahomes, it was Burrow. I took Lamar.
A healthy Rodgers.
Yeah, a healthy Rodgers, I guess. I took Hurts. Shoot, I don't even remember who else I took now at this point in time. But I think I took Herbert, over him, stuff like that. But I was going to
say Herbert's skill set with Kyle's offense and our weapons. Oh my God, he'd be like a 6,000 yard passer.
Yeah, but there was just a few guys that I would take over Purdy. He's a legit top tier, definitely top 10, could be top 8, and he's going to be if the Niners go on the trajectory that they're supposed to go on, and especially if they make this run through this bird stretch that they have coming up, as Dan likes to call it, the bird gauntlet that they have to run through here, where they're going through the Seahawks and the Eagles and the Cardinals. If they blow through that and they come out of there on top, he's going to be in the MVP talk and the MVP consideration this season.
Well, what else does he have to do? I was going to say, what else does he have to do now? Because we saw him come back down to earth, and he stayed down to earth for 3 weeks, and then we went to the bye. Well, how is he? Well, now you get to measure, how does somebody pull themselves back up? Everybody loves to see a fighter get knocked down and come back up. That's exactly what he did. Almost 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, only 2 sacks. He looked perfect. Like, what else does he have to do?
Yeah.
Well, he's got to. To me, he's got to sustain it. And he's got to kind of rumble through this hard stretch. I guess the Ravens are a bird team too, so let's include them in the bird stretch too. This is ridiculous that we play 5 bird. It's ridiculous that we play 5 bird teams in a row. So if he goes through the Eagles, Seahawks, Cardinals, and Ravens, and we come through there looking like the team that we're supposed to do, and he plays well in all of those games, he's going to be the NFL MVP.
100%.
He's going to be the NFL MVP. 100%.
So you play, I mean, if he goes through the Eagles, Seahawks, Cardinals, and Ravens, and we come through there looking like the team that we're supposed to do, and he plays well in all of those games, he's going to be the NFL MVP.
Yes,
Yeah, but
James now.
I'm going to say it's going to be extra tough because Philly is the king of the double birds. So, if you get what I mean.
You mean
Yes.
these double birds, James?
Double birds, that's right. These double birds. We're the king of the double birds. So
Dude, yeah, no, after Tampa, because we play Tampa next week, and listeners, we're going to be talking about them on tomorrow's episode. But then, yeah, the bird stretch, the bird gauntlet, Seattle, Philly, Seattle again, Arizona, and then a potentially very hard game. At least we got the Cardinals at home on Christmas. Yeah, that's going to I think you were right when we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. That Ravens game is going to be very pivotal for playoff seeding for us. Like, because I'm not convinced we're going to make it to the playoffs. I don't think it's jinxing anything saying that. But what game is going to decide our seeding? It could very, very well be that game, depending on how the rest of the bird stretch goes.
Yeah, I think so, because I think, unfortunately for you, James, I think your team is going to suffer at least one, maybe two losses here in this upcoming stretch, just because your schedule's really, really, really hard. That's not a knock on your team. I still think your team, woe be it for me. I think your team is very, very, very good. I just think your schedule is ridiculously hard coming up.
It's ridiculously hard. Yeah, it is.
There's no shame tripping up at least once in that stretch that you have.
Yeah, I would expect them to go 4-1. I'm not going to sign up for 3-2, but I expect them to go 4-1 in the stretch. The biggest game is going to be. It's not even going to be really you guys. I think it's more the Dallas game. Like that's gonna really determine and cement us where we're going to be, because I'd rather you guys play Dallas, than have to play you both in the playoffs,
Yeah. Well, I would like to see you lose to the Chiefs and to us in the coming weeks. That's what I would like to see you do. And then, we would potentially be playing the Ravens for that number one seed based upon whatever the Lions are doing with their schedule coming down the stretch. So
you mean going undefeated the rest of the way because of how cakewalk that schedule is?
Well, I'm gonna hope that the Lions kind of trip over themselves in at least one of those games coming down the stretch. But it's gonna be.
Dan Campbell has shown, man, that he's got some big cojones. Like
I know
he's got big cojones, and if he gets into the playoffs against Shanahan, like maybe the 49ers have better player and a more experienced head coach in the playoffs. But
Josh Dobbs might beat him one of those two times, because they play each other 2 of the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs might beat him. Yeah, Josh Dobbs might beat him. You're right.
Yeah, it's like week 15 and week 17. I mean, maybe
Josh Dobbs. Go Josh Dobbs.
That's right, Josh Dobbs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I think this is a good point to stop for this episode. Guys, we still got episodes coming out the rest of the week. The schedule's just
throw up the sponsor, Dan. Throw up the sponsor.
Yes, the week just was a little wonky because I came home yesterday and we didn't tape and yada yada yada. What we got to talk about, though, to wrap this up real quick, is our sponsor, RoyalRetros.com. What is RoyalRetros.com? It is your go-to place to get throwback jerseys. They cover all sports: basketball, baseball. You're here for football, so that's what you care about. There we go. I need to actually make that a graphic. Like, I need to pull that into the graphics. Because, yes, like on James's poster, our poster, they have a candlestick collection right now for all of you Niners fans, not 90s fans. They got a great collection there. Pause this, scan that QR code. It'll go straight to the candlestick collection. And what you can do when you find something nice, use the promo code Shady Sports and check out to get 10% off of your order. Again, it's Shady Sports for 10% off of your order at RoyalRetros.com. Check out that candlestick collection and get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. James, whoop, that way. James.
All right, guys, if you've been following the show, you know that we have a very serious cause that we've taken up recently in the news within the past 6 months or so. Some NFL owners have been up to bad things, and especially the Houston Texans minority owner. He has been charged with some very serious sexual crimes in Kentucky. And the reason why we're championing this campaign is because the NFL knew about these things and didn't report on them, in a timely manner as if it was a player. Even recently today, the NFL made a statement about a player that they are suspending for 3 games because of his actions on the field due to safety. You hear that right away. Player doing something against the rules, egregious, things like that. NFL reports it right away. But heaven forbid, an owner, it's a don't ask, don't tell policy. So we have started the hashtag owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. We're trying to make that go viral. Go to our pinned tweet on Twitter at Niner Nuts, retweet it. And to show you we put our money where our mouth is, we are selling T-shirts for charity for Kentucky Crisis Center. Here's our statement: owner standards, less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. $22.99 gets you that and a T-shirt. Or you can pay a little bit more, get it in other styles, get it in different colors, all different sizes for that shirt. Next, we have the owner standoff shirt. This is a charity shirt. We had this for the Dan Snyder campaign. We've brought it back for this campaign. $22.99 gets you that in T-shirt and all different sizes and different styles. Here's our podcast logo art. If you follow us on YouTube, our channel, you'll see this. Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to us with your podcast, you'll find this logo. $22.99 gets you that in a T-shirt, or different styles, different sizes, different colors. This is our alternate logo, the Niner Nuts logo. $22.99 gets you that. You get them in a premium tee for $22.99, or pay a little bit more and get a different style, all different colors, different sizes as well. And finally, we have our mascot, the Niner Nut mascot, a peanut, eating peanuts, maybe cannibalism, who knows? But this is him cheering for his San Francisco 49ers on the couch. Get that for $22.99, or get it in a different style and different colors, different sizes, guys. And all the proceeds will go to a Kentucky Crisis Center. All you have to do is type in bonfire.com, Niner Nuts. It's the first thing that comes up. Go there today, get a cool T-shirt, and donate to our charity today.
Yeah, we just want you guys to have a cool shirt and help out somebody's life that needs it. We don't want any money from that shirt. Eric knew that when he signed up for this.
I thought I was going to get rich on this program. Come on, guys.
Man. Don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
Don't quit your day job.
But yeah, help out somebody, guys, and we'll get you a cool shirt in the process for doing that. Lastly, looking here at the player news, nothing really going on, except the only thing that was really somewhat big news besides Perriman's suspension for helmet-to-helmet hits was the Buffalo Bills finally gave up on their offensive coordinator in spite of their offensive struggles and Josh Allen's underperforming. We'll see if the quarterback coach will make that offense better. But yeah, in terms of news, that was the only real super big thing that I saw. And, I'm sure he'll land on his feet and be just fine. But for the Bills, sitting at 5-5, and Josh Allen leads the league in interceptions. Kind of don't blame him.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes a mediocre quarterback in the NFL can be a good coordinator, but not Ken Dorsey, it doesn't seem like.
Just all the shade on Ken Dorsey.
Yeah. I mean, come on. He was the quarterback of one of the greatest Miami University teams of all time. Obviously carried by other players.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong, because the inverse of that, Brian Griese, not a great quarterback. I won't say bad quarterback, but he definitely didn't ascend.
I think he won more games than Ken Dorsey. I think.
But as you clearly see him as a quarterback coach, I mean,
he's been great.
Top tier, man. After what he did last year, and Purdy's still doing just fine this year. I mean, you can be not great at what you teach people, but be great at what you teach. Be great at teaching those people what you didn't necessarily like. I'm trying to say a compliment to Griese, and I don't think it's going well. But
don't throw shade on Brian Griese. I believe at one point he had a winning record in the NFL after so many games. When they traded Brian Griese from Chicago to Denver for Jay Cutler. Brian Griese actually won 6 straight games, even with Josh McDaniel as the coach. So I give a little respect to the Griese name.
Yes, he is a tremendous quarterback coach too. That's what I'm most happy and proud of right now. But yeah, that's it. What we got for you guys. Tomorrow we got you a more dedicated preview to what to expect of the Bucs game, and then our 3-way parlay picks a little bit later in the week. And we'll be playing Tampa at 4:00 on Fox on Sunday. So from all of us, James.
Outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
We'll see you next time. Beat the Bucs.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way you whine and cry.